physiological, biological level, at like the nervous system level. And that is like what's going on under the hood of what gets abstracted away as a cell, and then like an organ, and then a human body, and then it becomes a dot in these game theory models that we're always working with in blockchain, right? So I went a little deep there. I don't know if that was followable, but like then it ties into this blockchain level, and that's when we get to this like physics of social consensus, and how the tools that we are, you know, building here, if they can embody these dynamics that are at play under the hood, it can help make, explicit the interactions that are happening. And if we can, that which makes it easier for us to, apply peace, yeah. Sorry, I don't know that, I don't know how I got there exactly, but that's kind of what I was thinking about under the hood. And then I was just reflecting on in my own, life. I felt these like moments, and you could take part of what I said and say, yeah, I felt more or less comfortable in different environments with different people of using my voice, and yeah, having that ties into autonomy. So yes, kind of to that part. To your question.
I think I got what you're saying now. It's more like having been through this physics of social consent. After knowing this, when you reflect back to your life, you think many occasions actually, uh, very reflecting what those physics of consensus are saying. That they kind of apply in to your past event or moment in time.
And I think in particular when I think about that too, so like yes, yeah, and also I think about using the naming of turtle, wolf, and bear for some of the behaviors that I saw in myself or others in different situations, and then reflecting on the action that I chose to take when I remember consciously thinking of taking an action that's going to lead to peace. Because I've done that at different points in my life when I've had like hot-headed friends. I've been a voice of peace, and so yeah, because these are all protocols for peace, right? It all falls within the great law of peace, from the Ganyagahaga and the Five Nations. And yeah, so I don't know. It's part of what makes this all feel a little more real to me, and how can I relate to it in my body? I don't know. Check.
No, thank you both. I can go in a little bit deeper into my barbershop analogy as you guys were going back and forth, and it made me think of the difference between some of this digital implementation of the protocol versus the physical, which is where the protocols come from. And just in the barbershop, right? Like this, the folks with the loudest voice, tend to be doing a lot of the woof stuff, right? And you do get there's a moment where you make the decision, right? Am I going to get loud as possible back, right? Which could be uh, very fruitless because some people just have the physical attributes of louder voices or energy or physical presence, intimidation, all of those things, right? But you see folks opting in or opting out of, trying to assume that role along with the person, or maybe go more of the turtle route, maybe more of the bear route, right? And so physics, right? Even in some of the more uh, literal senses, right? When it comes to capacities for peaceful dialogue, and it might be a pop culture topic or a headline, right? Um, is what pops up, right? It might be useful analogies for folk coming in to lighter examples of what social consensus, the physics of social consensus can be. So so yeah, Also, we got into a little bit of the traits of bear, even along with wolf, when going into the roles of wolf and bear doing the deliberation, and presenting things on the floor back and forth. Um, while the turtle is observing, and then things get passed to the turtle, right? So I don't know if that whole flow got communicated, but essentially the traits of observer and validator, that folks might be familiar with, the traits of knowing constitution, in this language of the owner of the house, in the way that an engineer knows all the different parts of a house, right? Um, all of those traits start to come into, you know, actual decision-making implementation, right? This turtle is who validates whether the deliberation that just happened is valid against the core values of the collective. And these are the perfect folks for it, because they're the ones who know the most about what makes up the collective, right? This older sense of constitution, the core values, or the core things that make up the collective, right? The sustainable ecosystems is something that makes us all up, right? And so, if there's something going on in decision making that isn't as conducive as possible to this, right? Turtle validates against this, right, along with other core values. And then if it doesn't, if it's not aligned, right, it passes it back, right, for continued deliberation. So this is the one time out of 10, right, that an issue gets kept alive and passed back to wolf and bear. So hopefully this completes the flow, at least verbally, right, and maybe we can do it visually as well soon, in terms of showing the relationship between these different clans. And I think this is something that is touched on in the physics of social consensus, or the code of conduct, and these other things briefly. But this is our opportunity to get into some of the deeper connections, or functions, and how they relate, why it makes sense, why it works, beyond just the historical precedent, right? So yeah, I don't know if that sparked anything for folks, but I think that's one of the things that felt like, at least full circle in talking about how the clans relate to formal decision-making processes. And yeah, maybe there's some talk on the preliminaries that's interesting for folks as well. I'm not sure, but I'll leave it open I'll leave the floor open. Welcome. I've seen you come in a couple times. I'm not sure how to. I think I butchered the name every time. Nick, I don't know if it's Nick Tackle. I don't know what it is, but welcome. We're just having some open dialogue right now, around our system design in general. We've gotten specific into formal decision-making processes, but we're interested in who you are, and the floor is open if you'd like to speak, and feel free to pass. I know that sometimes you're coming in and out, or what have you. So, welcome.
I could give you guys a demo of what I've done, if you want. I think the only person who I didn't give a demo to is Writer. But Writer, are you there? No. They might be in the bathroom. This, the thing is simple. It's actually implemented in the stacked server now, which I think I shouldn't do. But fuck it. The flow is pretty simple. You just open an issue and active issues, type whatever. This is open to everyone. It shouldn't be. Right now it's open for everyone. Once you do that and a thread is opened, discussions in that thread should collectively edit that message in active issues after a while. Right now it's 30 minutes. The discussion expires and then the text is moved, is taken as is from the message. The latest edits is taken as is from the message, and then are copied over to the formal proposals channel. They're only the people who have contributed to the discussion or reacted to the discussion with like the eyes emoji, which will have you'll have a placeholder to do that, so that you don't have to do it yourself. Only those people who are eligible to dissent. If there is no dissent, the proposal passes, or in this instance could be a resolution or an amendment to a previous policy. That's the gist of it. But if you want to play with it, you can. I could send you an invitation to the old server. So yeah, that's it.
Can you invite me to the old server?
Yes, let me do that. We're friends, right? I think we are.
Yeah, I think so.
Hero. Yeah, we are. You're my hero, gamer, dude. I'll never get tired of that.
I got confused when Zero was saying hero, harrow, and hero. I got a little bit. Welcome, Nikita. I see Nikita in Alex Discord a lot because I'm a moderator in Alex, the DeFi. And I see he's very skillful with the graphics stuff. So he knows how to do a lot of graphics. And I think he's like moderating other Ethereum projects. I don't know if you can feel free to introduce yourself if you want, or show your work to some of us. I'm sure everybody's very interested to know what you know more about you.
I just checked permissions to see if I've unintentionally
Close DM.
fucked. Yeah, or like stop. Didn't give other people permission to speak in the channel, and nope.
Oh.
Just
Anyone can speak.
The classic non response in Discord. It's pretty funny. no, thank you kindly, Haas, for uh, debriefing folks on what you've gotten together, and yeah, it's going to be beautiful to see how this plays together, right? With some of the flow mentioned earlier, Hero, which maybe some of your first time outside of maybe code of conduct or that physics of social consensus, hearing how it all ties together, or some of these uh, deeper sense making around it. Uh, so so yeah, I think we went full circle in terms of decision making, formal decision making, but um, maybe we just uh, maybe something sparks with this language from the Longhouse about the preliminaries, right? You know, the 201 poem. Sometimes if anybody hasn't seen it, it's this wampum belt, which is these beads made of shells, right, on string together, right. That looks like a belt, and you have these two rows going down the center. The indigenous language is Degani Deohade, and translates to 201 poem, and it's a usually white and purple, but it's hard. It's such a dark purple, you might look like black, which have their corresponding meanings as well, the colors. But sometimes the longhouse will take it and twist the wampum belt to reference to DNA and grand design, right? Matrilineal design, regenerative design. And we'll reference the rungs in between the DNA as what makes up the DNA, right? Without those rungs, like you don't have it. So this reference to the in between being extremely important, the in between of cycles, the in between of even decision making processes, right? The preliminaries is where it all is, right? So this is why by the time you get to the formal decision making, right, there's no real deliberation, right? 9 times out of 10, these things are just passed through because it's already been sussed out in the preliminaries. So you have this streamlining of bottom-up voices and representation. And so, maybe that sparks something for folks, right? In terms of the flow, right, of consensus, including preliminary clan meetings, and then going into formal decision making. And so, yeah, maybe there's some questions about maybe how that might be implemented, or visualizing it with what we've seen from Haas presented to us thus far. There's also one other thing we haven't touched on, which is this protection for the voices of women, right? That is also built into these decision making processes, and how. So maybe this is something for a next session, right, to focus on. But we'll leave it up here. Maybe we have some stuff mentioned here that helps us remember to follow up. And I'll try to do my due diligence on getting some documentation of all of the beautiful insights that have come out of these sense-making sessions so far. I'm excited just to see what it all looks like on paper, and how many action items have come out of these so far, and to get us organized a little bit better going forward, and for newcomers coming in. But yeah, you guys got me excited. All this work these last few weeks, everybody that's been consistent in these sessions, the work from Haas, all the coordination help from Ryder, Merrick as well, even extending out into the source cred community, and I know doing a whole lot of due diligence there. Yeah, this has been a beautiful experience in a lot of ways. Getting to know all y'all more and more. So I'll shut up and just leave the floor open if anything is sparked.
I'll just leave 2 points, very brief. I don't want to take too much time, but I think I'm still a little bit behind, still thinking what you guys said before. So I think 2 points that sort of echoed with me more, what we said in the past half an hour. I think Merrick said a protocol for peace. I really like that concept. I think I'm a peaceful guy in general. I like peace, and I don't like when people like in general, just like when friends have to, you know, be angry at each other for, you know, and stuff like that. I'm just generally a peaceful guy. I wish everybody get on with each other. So I think this sort of, yeah, I think I vibe with this maybe, like of having a peaceful dialogue of whatever. Yeah, so it's just want to express that. And also something else that sort of echoes a little bit is like when you said like that everybody's voice and it's not about like the loudest person in the room basically. And I think that's I also like that concept very much because like not getting any political or anything, but nowadays like any president is selected based on his ability to be loud and to be able to debate. It's almost like a debating skill competition, and the loudest voice wins the seat. But also just generally observations in the real business. Um, a lot of things tend to get like noticed by how loud you are in a room, and that is very true as well. And but yeah, I think that's not like always the best thing. It's almost like it's more about the message itself, the voice. It doesn't matter who said it or how loud or quiet it is. It should be based on the message itself or the voice. Um, and then that how charismatic that person said it. Yes, we have we will lean towards somebody like that by like subconsciously, but um, yeah, like it sounds like this protocol helps to raise awareness of everybody's voice, and I really like that concept. Uh, but yeah, in terms of like the follow-on stuff that you were talking about, yeah, I look forward to seeing all the how that works and how we can put it to practice in terms of the governance workflow consensus or things like that. But yeah, I just want to briefly mention.
Well, no, thank you, Hero. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited for folks like yourself. Spending so much time and effort wrapping your head around this stuff, and saying back to us just the things that you just said, right? That reaffirm that we're not, or at least I'm not as convoluted as I think I sound sometimes in trying to articulate some of this stuff. And yeah, I just can't express the gratitude enough times to you for that. But yeah, I'll just continue to leave the floor open for any, I guess, closing comments. I know we've been here at least since around 1:30, so I want to respect folks' time, but not force us out at the same time. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other comments from folks before we wrap up, but this has got just, I guess, got me more and more excited for uh, coordinating folks, right, like Zero or others, into this implementation that's already in the Discord, which how's that? It's kind of scary. Yeah, I'll feel you on that, but it's also I think it's needed at first, right, because we don't have representatives, so it actually dovetails with that in terms of our first processes for selecting representatives that might be able to use the flow, right? Um, so yeah, maybe we have to think a little bit harder on that. But when we get up to those sessions, so yeah, I'll be thinking on that. But yeah, hopefully you don't have any mishaps until then. But we'll be working on it this week, so hopefully there's not such a big window of time for folks to notice there's been some changes to those channels. But yeah. Yeah, America.
Can I? This will take a little more time, probably. Can I pick up on something you said there, Harold, about the implementation specific? So it's gonna be that that it'll be the heads that'll be able to post issues, like exclusively eventually, and that is because that's like the floor kind of is like is that the floor?
Well, you can look at it as the well first, right? The active issues, right, is very much like the well, where it's the Wolf Clan representative, the subhead, right, that's helping the Wolf Clan representative in their work. Um, you know, whether it's male or female representatives, right, pick up issues, right. So this is what this is who picks up the issue, and this is what the policy is called, if I'm not mistaken, and the in the active issues channel. Um, so once it's in the active issues channel, we know an issue has been picked up, and why it's been picked up is because the subhead or Wolf Clan representative has noticed that this is an issue that's somebody in the server somewhere else, right? Either directly is reached out to the well, right? Because they know that this is the function of the Wolf Clan representative, right? Or there's just been some organic gathering of the minds around an issue already, so that we can give it a little bit more attention, but by gathering more minds, right? Which is the function of the Wolf Clan. Hopefully that answers the question, and that's what it'll ultimately end up, right? As Haas mentions, right now it's kind of open, and we don't have any representatives, so it makes sense for it to be open for now, but it's also kind of necessary if we don't have any representatives at the moment, for somebody who through whatever our processes are, or what our consensus processes are for selecting our first representatives, it'll be open for them to do so, even without maybe some of that being implemented yet, right? So maybe there isn't a role for representatives tied into the policy yet, or implemented in the Discord yet, but after the fact it can. And whoever is selected will be able to go in and make the first one. Maybe it's the first one is the actual selection process. So yeah, this is what we're thinking. It's pretty exciting to say in a mouthful, and it feels like a lot's going to be happening soon. A lot to report back to the Longhouse too, in terms of folks coming into these type of structures, But I mean, Merrick too. I know you. I don't know if we have any insight into what's going to be happening with any men's nation formation, right? In addition to the women's nation, right? With the Longhouse, these folks learning these protocols in the Indigenous context. But I think this is perfect time, right, for us to simultaneously learn, right? If there is this these beginnings on the Longhouse side and on our side, right, of folks coming into these protocols, both men and women. Yeah.
It's a very exciting time.
When are we going to see Des?
When she was up, she might have popped in already. I think she's sleeping. she's been recovering, I think, for some time now. Her pops are stressing out a little bit, so she's in recovering mode for a little bit. So
that makes
total
sense.
Yeah.
I say that because I want to hear what's going on in the Women's Council, hear from Des and what she's been learning, and you can just let her know that we're waiting to hear from her over here in Advox.
Yeah, I'll try to break that to her as gently as possible. She usually responds with a nervous reaction, but no, I think she's I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with all what she has to offer beyond myself, right? As somebody who's been participating in these decision-making structures herself. So yeah, and maybe myself and Merrick will have some of our first insights and some experience in that way soon as well. I'm not sure what the response is going to be, but I think Merrick, along with some of the other guys in the Tour Wampum Dialogue, are going to be asking about this, right? So yeah.
I will not be surprised at what Des has to offer. I will just be excited when it happens.
Yeah. No, I'm blown away sometimes about how concise and profound she could be at the same time, right? It's kind of the opposite of myself. But yeah, thank you for the time. Ryder, I see you're in the server, so you get to see a little bit of what Haas was mentioning earlier. We couldn't hear you respond if you were trying to earlier when Haas was trying to give a little bit of a verbal demo along with what you see there in that test server. But I'm glad you got to get as excited as we are earlier today. So yeah, thank you kindly, guys, for this session. Unless there's any other closing comments, I want to let you guys go.
Tomorrow there's a community call at 11. So if you haven't yet, or you haven't yet since you turned in your form, or if you haven't done your form, you can fill it out and come join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. PT right here. Yeah.
Hero Gamer, I didn't understand your question, the thread. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, I'm just testing out. Just
I know. So in formal proposal, some thumb up and down might not apply to this issue. I didn't understand that. I'm sorry.
because the active issue an example active issue I raised was how many people can we invite into the Stacks Advocate? So so it's like a how many question. So when it gets to the formal proposal, it's saying a thumb up or down. So it's an open-ended number type of question, but the formal proposal only lets people vote yes or no. It seems, if you get what I mean.
So yeah. So this is an easy question to answer. The number can be discussed in the thread. So this in the test server, it's like 1 minute. I made it like 5 minutes for discussion and 5 minutes for voting. So you don't have any time to discuss the issue at all. But in the circumstances that are going to be in production, I guess.
Yeah.
You have like 5 days to actually work out.
Oh, right. Okay.
Number. And not only that, even implement the solution. The formal proposal is just a formality of that process, that emergent process, because you have transparency, you have accessibility, and you have a trustful community.
Yeah.
With these three, you don't need a trustless layer, because it is a trustful community. That's the gist of it. That's why advocates are so tight together. Even though I don't know who you are, I don't know your name, but it's this. We're trying to stay away, or as far as possible, from the robots that capitalism is trying to make us.
Yeah.
And we're trying to just like keep our relationships and build a more relational community and governance process.
Yeah. I can see it. I see it now when you explain it. It makes more sense. Yeah. Definitely. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
No, yeah, it's really, really cool. The fact that those the edited threads get uploaded as documents still blowing my mind, right? And all the implications afterwards, So yeah, this is beautiful, y'all. I'm glad there's been all this clarity for the folks that have, been able to see this consensus flow stuff come together throughout today. Thank you kindly, Haas. This has been kind of an all day teaser of, I guess, what is to come in coming weeks. So yeah. But yeah, you guys, hopefully you have a beautiful rest of the day. We'll close out.
Bye.
Bye, Ryder. Thank you kindly for your time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, bye.